Okay, good evening, class. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to actually talk today about literature review and research problem, and we are actually going to talk with regards to the fourth part of today's topic, and we are actually going to talk. It's this entire portion is divided into three parts. Okay, so we're going to start with the first part. So before we actually go, like the yeah, fourth part of Unit 2, that is our literature review, which we are talking about. So what we are going to actually discuss is the research process, significance of literature review, process to carry out literature review, formulating research problems and questions. So let's start with the research process. Now, these are the 8 steps that we have. First is where we need to select the topic, the research, the research problem, and based on that, then we start doing a literature review, and then we develop the theoretical and conceptual frameworks, and then we have to come up with the clarification of the research question. So whether the topic that we have chosen, we have to actually finalize it and narrow it down based on which we have the research question or hypothesis. Then based on that, we have the research design, followed by data collection, data analysis, and then finally we draw the conclusions. So let's go into more details about it. The first stage is selection of the topic, right? So it's a very crucial stage. Why? Because in any topic which is inappropriate, or the question, if it is inappropriate, if you cannot select it properly, it will always there's a chance that it will most cases will lead to some irreversible difficulties in later part of your research. So it's unlikely that you will develop a good question and set of objectives at this stage of the research process. It's very difficult. So basically what you'll come up with a very broad question research area at this stage, and only when you go to the stage second and the third stage is very important, which actually helps you in developing and assessing your question fully, and where you come down to your narrow down to your final research question at this time. So what you can do is, you can, at the first stage, you can actually identify a broad area and frame a topic. Say for instance, drug addiction. That's a broad area. And then the topic up there is social support for people who interact with others addicted to drug. Now, how do you select your research topic? You need to select a topic or area where you are interested in, or an area or topics for which the answers are not available. Okay, so these are the websites which tells you about how to select your research topic. Second stage is where we talk of reviewing the literature. Now, this is a very important step, and it's the most important step of research process. When we talk of literature review, it starts where you look for research area and topic, right? And it usually consists of critically reading, evaluating, and organizing the existing literature on the topic which you want to work on, to actually assess the state of knowledge. What are the existing knowledge that is there in that area, which would help you to determine the existing gap which is there in these studies. It will help you to collect information on what is studied in that area or the topic you want to study. And at this stage, your aim is to become an expert in your field of research. You should have sufficient knowledge. So generally, it's done alongside with the development of theoretical and conceptual framework. So it's together that is done. Right. The third stage, which is there, is the development of theoretical and conceptual frameworks. What is theoretical framework? It's a study based on the existing theory or theories. Say, for instance, theory of motivation, say that's an example. And the conceptual framework, on the other hand, is something you develop yourself based on this theory, something you're developing. Theoretical framework is where you're studying, your study is based on the existing theory. But conceptual framework is something where you're developing something based on this existing theory. So you inevitably would use some if not all of this concept that this particular theory operates with. Also, when you talk of the conceptual framework, you can add your concepts, your constructs or variables, what you think are relevant, and then proceed to explore and test the relationships between them. Theoretical framework, when we talk of theoretical framework, it refers to the underlying theoretical approach that you adopt to to support your study. And this also includes who are the key theorists in that area, that where you are conducting your research on the problem, and when necessary, the historical context that supports the formulation of the theory. Conceptual framework, on the other hand, defines and organizes the concepts which is important within your study. So, a little more on theoretical framework. You explain the theories that would support your research, which shows that your research is grounded in established ideas. It's based on that particular theory that your research is based on, right? So, theoretical framework presents and explains theories and models other researchers have already developed. Okay, so it also involves evaluating, comparing, and selecting the most relevant theories. When we frame our research within a well-defined field, so it becomes easy for the whoever is reading your research also aware of the assumptions that inform your approach, which shows the rationale behind your choices. Why did you choose that particular framework, right? Why did you use it? So, and this part of your dissertation actually lays foundation that will help you for your analysis, for interpreting your results and making broader generalization. So this is an example that we have, right, where company X is struggling with the problem that many online customers do not return to make subsequent purchases. So management wants to increase customer loyalty and believes that improved customer satisfaction will play a major role in achieving this goal. Now, to investigate this problem, you have identified and planned to focus on the following problems: statement, objective, and research questions. So what's your problem? From this case, we feel that many online customers do not return to the subsequent purchases. That's a problem. So your objective is to increase the customer loyalty. And from there, you have the research question, that is, how can the satisfaction of company X's online customers be improved in order to increase the customer's loyalty? And how do we use theoretical framework for this? First, identify the key concepts. What are the key concepts? It's customer loyalty and customer satisfaction. So the theoretical framework will actually define these concepts and discuss the theories about the relationship with them. Second step is to evaluate and explain the relevant theories. When you do a thorough literature review, you can determine how other researchers have defined and drawn connections between these key concepts. And so as you write the theoretical framework, your aim should be to compare and critically evaluate the approaches that other authors have actually proposed here. So after having gone through all the different models and theories, you need to establish that particular definition that would fit best for your research. And you need to give justification why this is the case, right? And when you have a more complex research projects, you can combine theories from multiple fields in order to build your own unique framework. Okay, one thing you should be very careful about is you should make sure that you mention the most important theories which is related to your key concepts. If there is an well-established theory or model that you are not applying for your research, you need to explain why it's not suitable for your research work. Okay, now comes up the third step, which is show how your research fits in. So apart from discussing other people's theories, you should also show how your project will use these ideas. That's also important. So how would you do that? You can do any of these things, like test whether a theory holds in a specific context, Use theory as a basis for interpreting your results. Critic or challenge a theory. Combine different theories in new or unique way. And if relevant, you can also use the theoretical framework to develop hypothesis. Okay, so in a thesis or dissertation, the theoretical framework is sometimes also integrated in the literature review chapter. You do not have it separately, but you can also include as a separate chapter or a section. So coming up next, a little more on conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is which illustrates what you expect to find through your research. So it defines what are the relevant variables for your study and also tells us how they relate to each other. So if we take this previous same example that we just discussed, so in the conceptual framework, what we'll do, we will make a list of all the variables that will have an effect on customer satisfaction and loyalty and try to bring established relationship between them. Okay. So this is where we talk of, this is the exam picture of the customer satisfaction and the factors which is there. Okay, so this is it. So this is the activity which you should be doing it. It's where you need to develop the theoretical and conceptual framework. Okay. Next comes up is the next stage is where we talk of fourth stage, which is clarification of research questions or hypothesis. Now, what happens is many a times the initial problem that we define, right, at the first stage, that's too large or too broad, right? And so what happens is, so as a researcher, you need to clarify the problem and narrow down the scope of study, right? And this is done through the knowledge that you gain from the literature review. The theoretical, along with the theoretical and conceptual framework, which guides you as a researcher in clarifying and narrowing down the research project. So in the example that we just gave, what happens is the researcher wants to study the why repeat purchase was not seen among buyers on economic platforms. That was it, right? And that's too broad and could be studied based on social, environment, financial status, gender, type of customer, economic background. So, but you cannot do everything together, right? So you need to define your problem and purpose of the study very clearly. So it could happen that you may want to study that if whether financial status and economic background helps to improve the loyalty. So you're focusing would become narrowing down your problem and focusing. So you again restructure your original problem and make it more focused, narrow down. So what happens is a researcher should try and ensure that the research problem is clear, focused, concise, and complex, and there should be arguable question. It should be around which you can center your research. Okay, you should ask a question about an issue that you are genuinely interested or passionate about. Okay, so more clarification on the research question. So the initial research questions that we have that are chosen, that is investigated and often rejected for a number of reasons. Why? Because the question lacks sufficient focus or the conceptual framework has identified problems in either defining or measuring the appropriate concepts, or the project is unfeasible in terms of complexity, access, facilities, and or sometimes in terms of resources also. Okay. Next stage is where we talk of research design. What is research design? It's a blueprint or a framework which would help in fulfilling the objectives and answering all research questions. So what sort of questions do they help to answer? What data do I need to collect to answer this question? What is the best way to collect this data? Will I need to collect primary or secondary data? What methods will be best to collect the primary data? Who should participate in the research? How to gain access to them? What are the exact procedures that has to be adopted in the data collection, which would ensure reliability and validity? Are there any ethical issues with this research when you conduct this research? So these are the links which helps you in more about the different types of, to get more idea, helps you in getting more idea on the different types of research design. Okay. Sixth stage that we have is data collection, right? Now, data collection, it can be from simple observation to large scale survey for any defined population, predefined population. Okay, so there are many ways. And which approach would you choose? It depends on the objectives of your study. It depends on the research design, the time available, money, the personal human resources who are involved. So whatever may be the type of data, whether qualitative or quantitative, right? So whichever, but depending, it could be depending on the type that we have, whether qualitative or quantitative, accordingly, the data collection method will be chosen. And so it varies also according to the type of data. So depending on the nature of students and research design, data can be collected from primary and secondary sources using different methods, like interview, surveys, observations. It could be registration records, census records, official documents, previous surveys, and so on and so forth. Okay. Seventh stage is data analysis and discussion of the findings. Now, after the data is collected, it needs to be analyzed for providing answers to the research question. So here what happens is, with your when we start doing the analysis and finding the results, reference should be made back to the literature review, right? You have to give your references. So how do you, from certain data sources we got this, and which helps us in interpretation, right? So you have to back your analysis with proper source. So, and how do the findings act to this particular literature? Do they support the literature? If not, what are the reasons, possible reasons why it does not support? Finally, then we come to your drawing conclusions. So conclusions should actually relate back to your research question. You should be able to evaluate how successful you have been in achieving your research objectives, and you should be able to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of the research when you do your conclusion. You can also make recommendations for future research and state the limitations of your research. What are the limitations? Quick summary of what you've just learned. Research is not just about collecting data. Data collection is important, but it's simply part of a wider process. And we have just discussed that the research process involves 8 steps: selection of topic, literature review, developing theoretical and conceptual framework, then clarifying the research question, developing a research design, collecting data, analyzing data, and drawing conclusions. Okay, and the third is relating your project to the research process will allow you to develop and answer your research question in a logical and systematic manner. Okay, so project process and research process is more or less same. So you need to relate that. You see, we have discussed earlier also when we were talking about your project process, how you would go. And if you see now, it's similar. So it also helps you. We come to the second part of part 4.2, right? So we're going to talk more on the second stage or the second step that we talk of literature review, a little more on it. So what is it? What is literature review? Literature review, it surveys all scholarly articles, books, and other sources which are relevant to a particular area. Your area of issue, area of research, theory, provides a description, summary, and critical evaluation of each of work. So it's a survey of all the scholarly resources on a specific topic that you are actually interested in. So it provides an overview of the current knowledge, which allows you to identify the relevant theories, the methods, and gaps in the existing research. What is the gap? What was the limitation which there? So when you write your literature review, you should involve all the relevant publications, right? So books, journals, articles, you need to critically analyze them and explain what have you found from it. So when we talk of a good literature review, it doesn't just summarize sources. Not just summary is not enough. You need to analyze, synthesize, criticize, evaluate it, which would help you to give a bigger and a clear picture of the knowledge, of the level of knowledge on that subject, how much work has been done. So you need to talk about it. So what are the objectives of the literature review? It surveys the literature of your in your chosen area of study, synthesizes the information in that literature into a summary form, analyzes critically all the information that is gathered. How? By identifying the gaps in the current knowledge, by showing limitations of the theories and points of view, and also by formulating areas for further research and reviewing the areas of controversy. You can compare and contrast views of different authors on that issue, identify the variance in previous studies, and progress over time, and therefore establish a foundation based on which your current research can move on. Right? Collect more information about the current research project, evaluate all the theoretical framework for the current research project, discover relevant research methodology that have been successful in similar studies, and also assist in the identification of the survey instruments for which we have something called psychometric properties have been established. So validate all the current arguments based on previous experimental findings and differentiate your approach and arguments, and try to demonstrate your thinking. What are you thinking on a particular matter? So, okay. So what are the sources? Sources that you have, it could be categorized as primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary could be published as well as unpublished. When we talk of primary, we are talking of reports, theses, emails, conference proceedings, company reports, unpublished manuscript sources, and some government publications. When we talk of secondary sources, it's journals, books, newspapers, some government publications, and tertiary sources are indexes, abstracts, catalogs, encyclopedia, dictionary, bibliographies, citation indexes. Please keep it in mind. This is quite important. Literature review, when we say, it does not mean that you will go on reading hundreds of sources. That is not what literature review is. It is, when we say literature review, read few materials, but which is related to your topic, and where you should be able to borrow the ideas from these sources. Basic idea, the aim of literature review when you do it is to show to your reader that you have read and you have a good knowledge on the main established work relating to the topic or the question in your field. You know it, you have read those things. So what are the ingredients of good literature review? It should relate to the problem statement of study, mentions the theoretical ideas contributing to further exploration of the problem, of your research problem, summarizes previous studies which addresses and investigates the current study's problem statement, discusses the theoretical ideas mentioned against the background of the results of previous studies, analyzes and compares previous studies in the light of their research design and methodology. So what are the steps to conduct a literature review in a research? First is problem identification, data collection, then we have data evaluation, analysis and interpretation, and public presentation. So let's go a little more in that details. First step, problem formulation. To formulate, when you're formulating a problem, there has to be two things which you need to be very clear about. One is you need to decide what questions the literature review is going to answer, and also which articles should be included in your review and which should be excluded. When we talk of the questions, what questions? That is, first, some of the questions is, what is your main intention of reviewing that literature? And what do you find from that literature? What do you want to find? What do you want and what do you want to find? Right? What do you want? What do you want to find there? Right? So your literature review question should be very much clear. So this is an example. right? Literature review question that you seek to identify from the literature. So from the previous literature, what is the effect of intervention X on outcome Y and Z? If the goal is to critically analyze the research methods used in previous literature, so your questions can be, what research methods have been used in the past to investigate phenomenon X, and what are the methodological flaws of those methods? If your literature review focus is on theories and the goal is to identify some central issues, then your question should be, what are the central issues that have been used to explain phenomenon X? And at this point, it is wise to search for literature reviews that may have already answered these or related questions. Step 2 is data collection. So the main goal of collecting data is to collect a thorough representative set of relevant articles which is related to your research topic. And it often, how do you do this? The process starts with an electronic search of the academic databases on the internet. And when these searches are conducted, you should actually be very careful in recording the accurately what the date, what is the actual date for search, because you need to actually keep that a track. Because if you are talking about gone through these materials say 10 years ago, and then after 10 years you're telling, it doesn't help. A lot of things have changed, so you need to have search for it, like it has to be a recent search. Okay, the third step that we have is data evaluation, where you as a researcher, you will have to begin to extract and evaluate the information in the articles that you have read that would meet the inclusion criteria. Okay, and while you're evaluating the data, you need to document the different types of data that is extracted and the process that you use. Fourth stage is analysis and interpretation. So that's where you have to make a sense of the data that you've extracted. What does it mean? And you need to put the data from all the different sources, you need to put together to make a sense of it. Finally, it comes a public presentation, where you make a presentation to your supervisor. What are the commonly made mistakes that you as a researcher, like you might make while doing a literature review? Firstly, where you does not clearly state the findings of the literature review to the researcher's own study, does not take sufficient time to identify the best sources in the review literature related to one's topic. So you may just do it superficially. When you start uncritically accepting others' findings and interpretations as valid, you do not critically analyze it. When you do not report the search procedures, how did you search for giving that for coming up with those information, right? When you're doing a literature review, when you start giving your personal opinions, that happens. And also sometimes what happens is, when you start inserting long URLs in the body of the study, the citing with the last name and the year of the work. So this is how a literature log entry is done, where you write the author and the topic, the objective, the method used, and the findings. So these are the links that we have, which actually tells you more about like how to carry out a literature review, what's the process, how to carry out. Okay, so this is your work that you have as another activity on literature review, where you need to find out the different literature review sources relating to this problem. We come to the last part on literature review and research problem. That is where we talk of we'll start with the layout and design of the research work. Now, the way a research paper is organized and written, right, that differs in style and the way you present. So it mostly what happens is, like, how and why it differs is because it depends on who the organization is, sponsored organization, who's actually asked you to do that research, or which journal are you publishing your research work. So everyone has their own style, way of writing. So accordingly, you as a researcher, you will have to abide by that style or the layout that is prescribed to you. Okay, and because your work has to meet the need of the end user. But some of the common things which always will be there when we talk of any research work, you will be including this. That is abstract, introduction, research questions and objectives, literature review, theoretical and conceptual framework, data analysis and finding, conclusion, reference, and bibliography. So some of the components that is included in research project is abstract, where abstract is a summary of your entire work, usually done in 300 words or less than that, maximum 300, around, that's the rough thing. So what are the main things that you include? The overall purpose of the study and the research problems you investigated, the basic design of the study, major findings, a brief summary of your interpretation and conclusions. So this is the website which also tells you how to write an abstract. Then the other important thing is introduction, which actually leads the reader from a general approach research issue to a problem to a specific area of research, from a general research to a specific area of research. So it puts your research question in context by explaining the significance of the research. So how is it done? By summarizing the current understanding and the background information about the topic, which is followed by the statement of purpose of your research issue or the problem, then your hypothesis or the questions that you want to answer in your research. You can explain the methodology and also explain what your study can reveal, right? It's basically, it can also talk about a summary of the structure of the rest of the paper, everything is there. And then from there, you start using your research design, methodology, data collection, and it goes on, right? So this is the website which tells you more about how to write an introduction. Now, this is something we've also discussed before when we were talking about the problem statement in project. So it's the same thing in case of research problem also. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. If you can define your problem, the problem that you are investigating, half of your problem is solved. You can find your solution easily, okay? Because it's believed that most of the good research studies, they need a lot of time in selecting a research problem. That's the main thing. You have to devote your time to focus down and narrow down to your research problem. It has to be very focused, very narrowed down. You have to narrow it down. Otherwise, it's difficult. So what is a problem? A problem is an interrogative statement or sentence or statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. Now, research problem is an issue someone would like to know more about, or it could be a situation that needs to be changed or addressed. That is areas of concern, conditions that could be improved, difficulties that needs to be eliminated, or questions seeking answers. Okay, these are some of the tips that can be used, that you can actually use for defining or determining research problems. Search for a problem, read more about the problem, start taking notes, and keep a research journal which you have to refer to throughout your research, with the process of research or process of project, entire process till you finally write your report. If needed, take advice from some professionals, and your topic should be interesting. Do's and don'ts in selecting a problem. Never choose a topic where too much of work has been done, okay? Because you won't find any additional information. And avoid controversial subject, because its controversial subject is basically best for an expert. So what are the sources of research problems? It could be social problems, theory deduction, funding agencies, past researchers and literature review, casual observation, related literature, current social and economic issues, your personal interest and experience, replication of previous studies, or clarification of contradictory research results. So, statement of the problem, it's used to, in research work, is used uh, to to actually serve the purpose that it would be helping you to outline the problem which is expressed by a study. Okay, the statement of the problem actually briefly addresses the question. What is that? What is the problem that the research will address? And quite often, the problem statement will also serve as a basis for the introduction portion, the introductory section of your final proposal. It will help your reader to quickly focus their attention on the issues that your project will address. And it will also help your reader with a concise statement of the proposed project itself. Okay. So the techniques for writing the problem statement, we have discussed this when we were talking about project. There are 3 steps. One is 3-step method, second is templates, and third is question method. So 3-step method, first step is where we define the ideal situation. That is, what is the goal or the desired situation, what we want to achieve, what do we want to we desire for. And the second stage is the reality, where it tells us the present situation which is actually preventing us to achieve that goal, right? And it also tells us how the present situation is falling behind the desired goal. The third stage is the consequence, like where you identify the way how to improve the present situation so that you can reach the desired goal. Okay, so say for example, an established trend in the small business startup financing in Kenya is to establish funds. Some of these funds usually include youth fund, women fund. These funds have helped improve the rate of startups in the country. However, after the startup stage, the ventures start developing problems. First, they face problems in management, which lead to a marketing problem, and finally, stagnation and early exit. So a study by the Institute of Development Studies revealed that only 38% of the businesses were expanding, while 58% had not added any workers. So according to this survey, what was said is most enterprises are more likely to close down in the first 3 years of operation. 4 years later, again the same study was done in central Kenya. Okay, and what it showed was 57% of the small businesses are in stagnation, and only 33% of them showed some level of growth. So in our current project, we propose to examine the factors that have an impact on small business sustainability. So both qualitative and quantitative approaches would be employed for gathering both primary and secondary data and information with the objective of determining the success factors for the overall growth and business in Kenya. Okay, so more specifically, what will be employed is the method is the product life cycle model to identify the needs of a small business at various stages of the product life cycle. Okay. The second method is using the template, and this is how it goes. There is a problem in the organization, despite what efforts are to prevent or deter something is undesirable or unexpected is happening. So provide the evidence. This problem has negatively affected. Who are the victims? Because the reason, possible cause of this problem is, you have to state, perhaps a study which investigates what is it, by what method could solve this problem. Okay, we go to the third type, that is question method, where you have to say what is the problem, where is the problem occurring, what is the magnitude of the problem, why is it important to work on the problem, and how do you know about the problem. Okay, so let's take an example, the same example that you were working on with the canteen in the academic institution, RTC, where we were talking. So the first method, which is the three-stage method. First stage is ideal situation. In an academic institution, canteen is a place where students can come to take break from the busy academic routine and have a quick meal in a fun-filled atmosphere. What is the actual situation? However, in RTC, canteen has become very crowded and students often has to wait for more than 15 minutes before they get their meals. This has resulted into canteen getting a lot of negative feedback from the students. So in our project, we would identify the factors responsible in poor performance of RTC canteen and propose recommendation for improvement. The second approach, that is template. So same question, same problem that RTC canteen. How do we say there is a problem in RTC canteen? Despite numerous efforts deployed by RTC management, RTC canteen has been receiving poor feedback. And this problem has negatively affected students' perceptions towards management, as providing quality services to students is assumed to be the responsibility of management, and has resulted in friction between management and student body. A possible cause for this problem is faults in vendor selection process. Perhaps a study which investigates the probable causes of failure could help resolve the situation. What about the third approach, that is the question type? What is the problem? Poor quality of service, delay in service, and overcrowding. Where is the problem occurring? Canteen, RTC canteen, what is the magnitude of the problem? 7 to 10 students have provided negative feedback about the canteen, and average wait time is 15 minutes. Average wait time for a table is 10 minutes. So why is it important to work on this problem? To improve the students' overall college experience and reduce negative experience. How do you know about the problem? Through advisor reports, through annual college feedback surveys. And so as per the annual feedback, there you go more into details, right? What does it say? As per the annual feedback survey, 7 out of 10 students have provided negative feedback about the canteen. Advisor report reported that students spent about an average of 15 minutes to get their orders and additional 10 minutes to find a place to sit. So this experience has caused students to get late for class and often come hungry, which is impacting their performance in class, is impacting their academic performance. So this experience has also negatively affected their overall performance. So the same problem, same situation, but you are expressing through three different techniques. You can use any one, right? So composing research objectives and questions from problem statement. How do you form your objectives and questions? So from the research problem, you first frame your research objective. What is research objective? It outlines the specific goals that you plan to achieve when you complete your research. Okay, so it's a broad roadmap which breaks down the problem statement and acts as a guide in the research process. So for example, if we take the motivations, your problem is motivation of faculty at RTC. So what will be your research objective? To assess the factors that motivate faculty at RTC, to determine the level of motivation amongst RTC faculty, to study the effect of faculty motivation on students' performance. Okay. So research objectives, when we talk of research objectives, they are specific actions or activities that is undertaken to answer your research question. And it also indicates that what you're trying to get from your research work. Or in other words, what is your expected expected results? What are you expecting from your study? So it should be, the objective should be clear, it should be achievable, what you can achieve, it should be able to be verified, because they directly assist in answering your research questions or problems. So how would you actually write your objectives? It should begin with the word to determine, discover, establish, access, identify, compare, analyze, evaluate. So this is the framework of your research objectives. This is how you should be writing. Example of research objectives. So let's say your problem is with poor stock turnover. Okay, there's poor stock turnover in an organization. So your research objective would be to identify the factors leading to poor stock turnover, to study the impacts of excess stock on profitability. Why? Because poor stock has led to loss. So what could be like the impact of excess stock on profitability? How is it? And then to find out the solutions for effective inventory management. From the research objectives, then comes up your research questions. So first is problem, then objective, then your questions. So the research question further breaks down the research objectives. The research objectives are further broken down, and it helps the researcher in establishing the boundaries of the research area, the limitations. So if we take the same problem of inventory management problem, so how can you find a research question for each of these three research objectives that we just discussed, right? These are the three objectives. So what happens for each of these objectives? So there should be at least two research questions. Let's take the first one, to identify factors leading to poor stock turnover. The two questions could be, what are the factors which leading to poor stock turnover? And are these factors controllable or uncontrollable? If it's controllable, then you can come up with solution which would solve this problem. If it is not, then coming up with a different type of inventory management approach. So research question is a specific question that the research intends to answer. So it has to be clear, it has to be focused, around which you can plan your research, right? And it actually can be your research question, whatever your research question is, you can get your answer directly. How? Through data analysis. Okay, so data analysis helps you in answering your research question. So, okay. So to help you figure out your research question, what you need to do, you have to ask yourself this question is, what is that specific thing I want to know about my research project? So it's like how, what, why, where, when. This is important. This is how you can write your research question. So what are the criteria of a good research question? It should be clear. Now, let's give an example of an unclear research question. Why are social networking sites harmful? So what would this too general, right? Not clear what exactly it says. But when a clear research question, you can say, how are online users experiencing or addressing privacy issues on such social network sites as WeChat and Facebook? So which social network site? WeChat, Facebook. Type of harm is privacy issues. Who's getting harmed? Users. So you get the answer yourself. Okay. It should be focused research questions. So example of an unfocused research question, what is the effect on the environment from global warming? That's too general. More focused question is, how is glacial melting affecting penguins in Antarctica? It's still related to global warming, but it's glacial melting, more specific. So specific cause is glacial melting, specific place is Antarctica, specific group which is affected is penguin. Research question should be complex, appropriately complex. Simple question, let's see, what is it? How are doctors addressing diabetes in India? It's too simple. If you want to make it more complex, so what are the common traits for those suffering from diabetes in India? And how can these commonalities be used to help the medical community in preventing the disease? The fourth criteria is it should be worth investigating. The findings of the research should help in adding to the existing knowledge on that particular area. So some structure you can use when you frame your research question. What accounts for, what are the mechanisms that how are, in what ways do, why are, these are things. Or you can use PICO format. Right? PICO format is P stands for population or patients, what specific patient population you are interested. I stands for intervention. What is your investigational intervention? C for comparison. where what is the main alternative to compare with the intervention. O stands for outcome of interest. What do you want to achieve, accomplish, or improve, or affect, right? And time, what is the appropriate follow-up time to assess the outcome? So this is an example of healthcare workers, like does hand washing among healthcare workers reduce hospital acquired infection? So P is hospital acquired infection, that's a problem. Intervention indicator is hand washing, comparison is no hand washing, other solution, mask. O is the outcome is reduced infection. Okay, how would you evaluate your research question? Do you need to evaluate? So what you need to find out, is your research question clear? Is it focused? Is it specific enough to actually cover the entire space available? Is it complex, right? It should not be very simple where yes and no, where you find answers very easily, right? Is it fact oriented? Information gathering question, where scope to gather information. It should be capable of being confirmed or rejected. Either you accept it or you reject it. There should be enough scope for it. So this is the activity for you, where we were discussing about that inventory management, and we found out 3 objectives. So we discussed 2. So for the other 2 research objectives, you find out the suitable research questions. That's activity for you. Research question can be single question or multiple question. Single question, which methods and tools should be used or developed to make current manufacturing control or supervision systems reusable and swiftly modifiable? So that's a single question. You can have multiple questions also. Say on the network design, what are the main components of logistic cost and that determine the logistics and transport network design? To what extent are the existing network design and evaluation models sufficient? And how can collaboration be incorporated in the network design methodology? How can economies of scale and scope present in the network be taken into account in the network design? Is it possible to set boundaries to the development path of the network and search for a feasible path instead of searching solely for a feasible solution? So on the network design, you can actually have one question also, but you can have multiple questions. So this is multiple questions. When we are talking of research question, there's something also called investigative questions. You can also have investigative questions. So there are different types. See, what specific financial services are used, right? Same question, you can put it in different way. If you're talking the financial services. Second is, how attractive are the financial services? Third way of writing is, what are the bank's specific and environmental factors that influence a person to use specific services? So this is on the same topic, but in 3 different ways. So from there, that's a research question. You can come up with your research. What would be the research objectives based on these questions that you have? To study the public position of bank regarding financial services and use, to determine bank's competitive position in the region, to suggest ways and means to improve the performance of bank, and to develop a strategy to maintain and enhance the image of the bank in the region. So a summary of what we've learned. Research questions, it could be broad or general. There could be investigative questions, which is specific, sub-question, or operationalization of variables. And you have research objectives, which is statement of intention or actions intended. Okay, point to be noted. Some researchers may actually use research questions in place of research objectives, and vice versa. So you can either use, you may not use both. So you can use research questions and not research objectives, or you just have research objectives and not the questions. And the primary purpose, that's the second thing to be noted. Primary purpose of research objectives and research question is to help the researcher in establishing the boundaries of the area of research, what exact the scope of that research, that boundary has to be created. So that's, we come to the last topic, which is research hypothesis. So from the problem statement, you come with your objective, then comes your research questions, then from there the hypothesis. So hypothesis, what is it? It's a statement that can be tested by scientific research. So if you want to test a relationship between two or more things, you actually need to write a hypothesis before you start your experiment or data collection. So research hypothesis, in other words, is a statement of expectation or prediction that will be tested by research. Whose expectation or prediction? You as a researcher, your expectation or prediction that this is what you expect. So that's your hypothesis, which you need to test to see whether what you expect is correct or not. So hypothesis, as we said, is it states your predictions about what your research will find, what would be the findings of your research, what you feel. So it's a tentative answer to your research question. Hypothesis is a tentative answer to your research question, which is still not tested, right? You need to test it using different methodologies. Say, for some of the research projects, you may have to write multiple hypotheses, right? Which addresses different aspects of your research question. So, but please remember, hypothesis is not a guess. It is based on the existing theories and the existing knowledge. And it is something which should be also testable. You can test it, which means, what does that mean? That you can support or reject it. If you test it, either it'll be correct or it'll be incorrect through various scientific methods. It's like experiments, observations, or statistical analysis of data. This is the website which tells you how to write a research hypothesis. So see this example, your research question: what are the health benefits of eating an apple a day? So your hypothesis is, what you have predicted is, increasing apple consumption in over 60s will result in decreasing frequency of doctor's visits. If it's accepted, it's fine. So you accept, you are predicting this, means what? You have rejected something. Then rejecting something is which is not correct as per your prediction. That's called null hypothesis. Null means what is not correct. You've rejected this. What have you rejected? That increasing apple consumption in over 60s will have no effect on frequency of doctor's visits. You have rejected this. You feel this is correct, and you're testing this. So when you test through using the right methodology, either this will be correct, your presumption, or if your presumption here is not correct, then this is correct, which you have rejected. Okay, so this, the other examples also. So this is an example, right? Example is where you frame a research objective, a research question and hypothesis on the topics that study of food canteen, the study of food quality in canteen on students' academic performance. Okay, that's your problem statement. Study of food quality in canteen on students' academic performance. Same question, that same thing that we've been talking about. So what is your research objective? To determine the relationship between food quality in canteen on students' annual grades studying in RTC. From there, you come up with your research question, which is, what is the impact of food quality on students' academic grade and class performance? And from there comes up your hypothesis. That's your assumption. That's what you achieve. Think your result will come up with is, better food quality has positive relationship on students' annual academic grade. If through your analysis you come up with this, then your assumption is correct. If not, then you have what you have rejected, that better food quality has no effect on a student's academic performance. That's what you had rejected. You don't think that is the answer. You feel this hypothesis is your answer, right? So if this is correct, then your hypothesis is correct. What you've predicted. If not, then what you have rejected, that is null hypothesis. So that is correct. So these are the references that we have. Okay, so that's all that we have from here. Okay, so that's all that we have, and I'll see you in class next week.